Well, thanks, Kylie. We're here with the national officers, and we are super excited to get the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better so that we can share with you guys what we have learned from the officers.
Yeah, I've been super excited to have him with us today.
And we'll just jump right in with the first question. So, how about you guys tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce your name, your new position, and then where you're from and how you got involved in FFA.
I'll start. I'm Dawser Harper, the newly elected National FFA president. My hometown is Covington, Georgia. I'm currently a third year student at the University of Georgia right now studying agri-science and environmental systems. And I got involved in FFA through the agri-science fair. I completed a science fair project for my chemistry class, and my agriculture teacher, Dr. Pollard, encouraged me to compete in the agri-science fair with it. And that's where I fell in love with FFA and the agriculture industry.
I can go next. My name is Anna Mathis. I am the new National FFA Secretary. I grew up in Valley Springs, Arkansas, and I'm currently a second-year student at the University of Arkansas, and I'm studying agricultural communications and agricultural leadership. And I joined FFA because of a lot of different reasons, honestly. A main reason is my dad was an ag teacher. And so I saw from a young age kind of the transformative power of the organization. And whenever I got into FFA, I continued seeing those stories that a lot of people don't even know about. And that's the stories that really change people's lives for the better. And so that's why I wanted to continue that tradition. And I'm so glad to be here with y'all today.
Hey guys, I am Paxton Dahmer. I am the new Central Region Vice President. I'm from Nevada, Missouri, so I'm right on the Kansas border, and I'm currently a junior at the University of Missouri. I study agricultural education, leadership, and communications. And I got involved because it's kind of the family thing to do. So I'm a third generation FFA member, and I grew up listening to my grandfather actually tell a lot of stories of growing up and competing on different teams at the state level. And his love for agriculture kind of went on to me and my parents, and same thing with FFA. And so I saw relatives in blue jackets, and I knew that it was the thing for me. So I got involved, and I've loved every moment of it. Thanks for having me.
Hey y'all, my name is Miriam Hoffman. I'm serving as the new National FFA Eastern Region Vice President. I'm currently a junior at Southern Illinois University studying agribusiness economics. And for me, I ended up joining the FFA because my older sister had joined. Our chapter actually rechartered just 1 year before I joined high school. And at first I was a little hesitant. I wanted to be different than my sister, but it only took me a little while, just a couple months, and I realized that the FFA really was the place for me, and that initial moment that I knew FFA was where I belonged was at my first National FFA convention, seeing the first retiring address from a national officer. And that's when I knew that this was a place that I could belong and that I could grow.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Lopez. I am the new Western Region Vice President. I come from the state of California, just 20 minutes off the Mexican border, so way down here. I'm currently a freshman at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo studying agriculture communications. And the way I got involved in FFA was, so when I was in 5th grade, my older sister decided to show a pig. So at the time, we just went to the school farm, and all of a sudden we see this cool looking thing just walking up towards us. And, you know, ever since then, I knew one day I wanted to show a pig too. And then once my experience in FFA actually started, it kind of just skyrocketed, and I saw the opportunities available to students like myself in this program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Artha Jonassin. I am the new Southern Region Vice President. I am from Okeechobee, Florida, and I study at Harvard College. I concentrate in government and global health and health policy, and I'm really interested in exploring the intersections of public policy, agriculture, and health. I got started in FFA because this really wonky man came up to me in middle school and was like, Artha, I want you to come to my portable after school and check out this contest. I think you'd be good at it. If you hate it, you never have to do it again. And that day I went to Mr. Buddy Mills's portable and I got my foot in the door with extemporaneous public speaking. And I've always been a really competitive person, and it was nice to channel that into another avenue in the form of career development events and leadership development events. But I stayed in FFA because I fell in love with the mission and the programming and how we change the lives of people through agriculture and agricultural education. So excited to serve this year and so excited to be with you all today.
That is super awesome, and we're so excited to have you guys with us. Your stories are unique and you guys are all wonderful individuals, but with that being said, what inspired you to run for a national office?
A student by the name of Alex from Ebenezer Middle FFA in Georgia was my inspiration to run for National FFA office. Getting my foot into the door in state office was a really good opportunity just because I enjoyed the opportunity to get to know so many cool students from across the state of Georgia. And as I got more involved in this organization, I learned that there's so many students in this country who have so much energy and so much potential to give to this organization and make a huge impact in our agriculture industry. And I just thrived on those opportunities and experiences I got to have to meet really cool students named Alex. I met Alex at Georgia FFA's Discovery Conference, which is a conference in our state specifically for middle school students. And when we were getting ready for the opening session of that conference, Alex was literally sprinting circles around Tabor Auditorium at Canton John Hope, just getting ready for the session. And he challenged me to a sprinting race. So next thing I know, I'm sprinting against Alex, getting ready for this opening session in official dress. And there's so many students like that across this country who have so much energy and so much potential to make a huge impact in this country. And I got inspired by Alex to run for national office just to do whatever I can to play a small role in helping those students get to where they want to be in this organization.
So for me, I was a state officer last year. And so similar to a lot of state officers and a lot of members out there, our year kind of got cut short with COVID. And so I totally feel y'all right now. And I feel other state officers across the country and members and what that feels like. And so that didn't hold me back from running. That kind of channeled my passions and my energy into running because I know what that feels like. And I feel that burden too. And I also grew up in a really small town. And so people here love to help each other out. It's very neighborly. It's a very small town if you think about it. And so I really saw what people poured into me, and I saw the impact of their actions and felt the love from my community. And I just imagined what it would be like if we as FFA members kind of paid that forward as well. Instead of giving back to our organization, channeling what has been given to us and pour it forward and multiply that by over 760,000 times. And I think that our organization can only grow from there. And so that's why I'm here to pay that forward and to give back to our organization.
So I decided to run for national FFA office because kind of a combination of things, but the two main things were, one, I had the opportunity to have a year out of the Blue Jacket last year. And so I was using the skills that I learned in FFA to apply for internships and in different opportunities within my college and really take what I learned in FFA and apply it to the rest of my life. And that gave me a really big appreciation for everything that FFA can do for members and the way it sets you up for success in the future. But then beyond that, I want to be a national officer for students that maybe aren't like myself. A lot of times students are going to be very strong in the agricultural industry in the future, and I want to make sure that those students are just as equally served as students that aren't from an agricultural background as well. And so I just want to make sure that I can connect with as many students throughout the year of different backgrounds as possible.
There's been a lot of different pieces for me that have inspired me to run for national office. One of those is similar to Paxton's, that I spent this last year outside the Blue Jacket, and that's when I really realized that I started to realize who I was outside of the FFA, and so that helped me realize what I had to bring back to the FFA. And so my initial desire to run, I ran last year, but then to run again this year actually came through a phone call with a mentor. And we were talking through just some of the things that we're seeing in the world today and ways that we see that our world and our organization can continue to embrace the complexity of the individuals that make up our organization as well as our organization as a whole. And I remember my mentor told me, he said, if you have something to offer, then why don't you go and offer that up? And so that's really what it came down to me, is recognizing that I have a unique set of talents, as do each of my teammates, to offer. And that didn't mean that I thought I would get elected, but it meant that for me, my responsibility was to offer up what I had to give to the nominating committee this year. And I'm so thrilled that I get to serve with these 5 individuals this year.
Well, mine kind of takes me back to, just growing up in a divorced household. I didn't have a lot of male figures in my life, and one person by the name of Emmanuel Lucetto. When you think of Emmanuel, you think of the all-star of Holtville. I mean, athlete, good at school, FFA, just checking off all the lists. And I remember at one time he came over to our house for my sister's birthday party, and he could have been with all the cool older kids, but instead he took time to like see this 10-year-old David who was just geeking out about some soccer or something like that. And I will never forget that feeling of feeling seen and valued for who I was. And, going through high school, I thought it was always super important to help people feel the same way. So my thought behind running for national office was, how can I do my best job to help students across the country feel a sense of belonging and appreciation for who they are and what they bring to the table, and just how wildly how much this program changes lives. And if I can help aid in that success a little bit for students from different backgrounds, and just really tying this idea of equity and inclusion for all students, I think that's the main reason why I'm here today. And as well as, just getting to be with these five individuals who are going to help me get better and help do a good job this upcoming year.
My desire to be a national officer really comes from Serena Williams. I grew up playing tennis, and my inspiration for picking up a tennis racket was Serena Williams. This woman is like 5'9" of pure muscle. She dominates the court every single time, and she always brings her full, authentic self to the tennis court, a space where there's not a lot of other Black women doing the same. And when I think about what this opportunity as being a national officer can be, I think that I could be like Serena Williams. And that's really, really exciting to me, to inspire students that even if you don't really see yourself in a lot of different spaces, that doesn't mean that you can't dominate those playing fields. Serena Williams encouraged me to pick up a tennis racket, but she also encouraged me to go to that CDE and LDE event when I was the only student who looked like me in that space. She inspired me to apply for Ivy League schools, even though nobody from Okeechobee County has ever done that kind of thing before. So I want to be a national officer. I am a national officer to inspire students to know that it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you believe, that you have the opportunity to make a difference in this life. And I hope that I can empower students through all of the different types of programs that we have in our organization to do just that.
Those are all awesome, all very unique, much like your backgrounds in this organization. So with that said, I know some of you had already mentioned it, but to kind of just reiterate, can you go ahead and switch gears from FFA and tell us where you're studying at right now?
I'm in college right now at the University of Georgia, studying agri-science and environmental systems. So I'm going to be splitting up my third year of college to serve as a National FFA officer, and hopefully I'll get to research some crop science and beekeeping as well with that degree.
So I'm at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, and I'm studying agricultural communications and agricultural leadership.
I am at the University of Missouri in Columbia, and I'm studying agricultural education, leadership, and communications, and I'll have a minor in plant science with a precision ag certificate.
I'm at Southern Illinois University, located in Carbondale, Illinois, studying agribusiness economics, and I haven't decided for sure on a minor yet, but I'm looking at either environmental studies or energy and environmental policy.
I am currently a freshman at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, studying agricultural communications, with one day hoping to go to law school and ultimately becoming an immigration attorney.
I attend Harvard College in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I study government and global health and health policy, and I hope to attend law school as well, and then find a career somewhere in the middle of health, agriculture, and public policy.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I know personally that's none of those really tie into anything I'm going into. I know Kylie's big into ag communications, but it's always cool to just hear about the different majors that the national officers bring to the table, just because I think it's cool to find out the ways that other people in agriculture are going to choose to give back in a way that isn't always right on the beaten path. Or if it is on the beaten path, you're going to still do it and it's going to be great. But talking about school and FFA, if we switch it up, what hobbies do you guys have outside of FFA?
Absolutely. Sports are a huge hobby of mine. All throughout high school, I played sports, and I wasn't quite good enough to make a sports team at the University of Georgia, so I don't play them as much anymore. But I still like to think watching sports is kind of a hobby. So I watch sports a lot, and I listen to sports talk shows because I'm that boring, I guess. I don't know. But sports are a big hobby. I also enjoy running, hiking, and spending times in the outdoors as well.
So for me, the outdoors are really important. I grew up in Arkansas, the natural state, and so we're known for our hiking trails and our beautiful outdoor scenes. And so I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love archery. I also, switching gears from that a little bit, I love reading and music and spending time indoors as well.
So to echo what Doster and Anna both said, I love being outside. Hiking is one of my favorite things to do in my pastime. But at the same time, one of my favorite things to do is travel across the nation to livestock shows. My family grew up, we did that every weekend. And so if I have a little bit of spare time and I can get on the road and go to a show, I love doing that. Or even, getting in a position where I can judge livestock. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I always love to spend a little bit of extra time doing that.
I spend quite a bit of time outside as well. I really enjoy hiking. I enjoy working with cattle, grew up on a diversified crop and livestock farm. So I always had that little piece of me. But then I also enjoy reading and journaling. I spent a lot of time, especially before the pandemic, I spent a lot of time just sitting in coffee shops journaling, and I just love the vibe. I've made a lot of new friends at coffee shops. And so it's a place I love hearing people's stories and meeting new people. And so it was a great kind of intersection for a lot of my different hobbies there.
So some of my favorite things include sports. I played on a travel volleyball team, so that's one of my most competitive outlets whenever I just get to go out there and be on the court. I definitely also enjoy, just finding a good show on Netflix. Why lie? I can spend all day just in bed, just watching a good show. And then also I just bought myself a pair of Chacos, so I'm trying to be more outdoorsy because I'm like some of these folks up here. So yeah, a little bit of a mixture of all that, and also just hanging out with friends is always a good time.
Yeah, I also love playing sports, and I'm so excited to move to Indiana and beat David at volleyball. Like, that is one of the things I'm most excited about this whole transition of being a national officer. But aside from that, I really do like to read. I'm big into Pinterest. So in turn, I really like to shop. Aside from that, I too can spend way more time than necessary on Netflix or Hulu and other avenues for watching really cool things. And I also like to write. I got into writing like blog posts, especially for the admissions office at Harvard before the pandemic. And it's kind of continued throughout the pandemic as well. And journaling my thoughts and processing the crazy world that we're living in has been really, really valuable for me and one of my favorite pastimes.
Those are all so awesome. I know I related a lot with Artha and Paxton. I love to write, and my teammates also always give me a lot for shopping way too much.
Yeah,
It's a problem.
Like the high maintenance ones, and so they definitely, poke their fun at us when it comes to shopping and trying to take care of us. So
absolutely. So, kind of going along with this, can you guys go ahead and share one interesting fact about yourselves? I know we've heard a little bit, but one thing that not many people know about you.
So I've never been a shopper ever. So my interesting fact is going to be pretty far from that spectrum. I don't know if anybody on the call has ever been a professional wrestling fan at any point, but if you've ever heard of Ric Flair, I've met Ric Flair in person, one of the coolest professional wrestlers of all time. I met him on the field at a football game at the University of Georgia inside Sanford Stadium, shook his hand, got a picture with him. It was the peak of my lifetime. It's all downhill from there.
So my fun fact is so nerdy and it's so different from Doster's cool life-changing moment, but I actually really like to scrapbook. And I know that sounds weird because like people our age just don't do that anymore, but I actually really love to scrapbook. Oh, same, that's awesome. Yeah, and so I keep like every like pamphlet or ticket stub or like note that you ever write me. I keep all of it, and it is all scrapbooked right now in my room. So that's a cool, different fun fact for me.
So my fun fact.
I'm so sorry, Paxton.
I guess you're good, Miriam. You're good. So I guess Miriam, why don't you go? There's a semi hauling hogs behind me.
Rural Missouri for you, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So my fun fact is when I was in high school, I started up a garage band with some of my friends. So I played bass and we played like AC/DC and Metallica, and it was a good time. We made like one or two original songs, but it was mostly just covers.
I'm highly impressed by that. Wow.
Okay, the truck is gone. So, I guess a fun fact about me, it's changed now, but so I live in such a rural area that when I want to get on the internet, I actually have to drive up the road with all of my stuff in my car and sit in the parking lot of a cemetery. And so, rural broadband is not a thing in Missouri, and we feel that struggle really hard.
So my thing, I am fascinated with languages. So I speak both English and Spanish fluently. And then in high school, I took both a sign language course and then a Mandarin course. So yeah, catch myself speaking some different languages out here.
My fun fact is not nearly as impressive as taking Mandarin, but when I was in 7th grade and I got my first FFA jacket, it is the same exact size as my National Officer jacket because I have just grown that little in the past 7, 8 years. So yeah.
I can totally relate to that. I have not grown more than a half an inch since the beginning of my high school career. So I can completely relate to that. Yeah. So thanks for sharing those interesting facts. Some of those were definitely new that I don't think I would have expected to hear on this call tonight. So just as you guys are getting ready to embark on probably what's going to be one of the best years of your life, as you go across the nation and interact with different members, what is the one thing that you want them to take away from you this year?
For me, I think that one thing is just bloom where you're planted. There's a lot of things that happen in our lives that we can't control, and we've certainly learned that over the past couple of months in this year. But the one thing that we can control is how we react to those events. And so much like when we're planting a pine tree, that pine tree can't choose where it's planted, but it can choose to bloom where it's planted, and it can choose to grow tall and strong. And so for me, a lot of things have happened in my life. I've gone through a lot of failures and a lot of different challenging times in my life. But the one lesson I've learned through it all, from the people who have been there for me, is to bloom where you're planted and to choose how to react to those things that you can't always control. So that's that one thing for me that I want to help students learn and grow through those experiences throughout this year.
That was really good, Duster. I would say for me to know that we can be both proud and humble this year. I mean, this year has really humbled us from everything that's happened, and we've had to take a step back and learn how to be appreciative and have some gratitude about things that we didn't initially think that we would have to. But at the same time, I think we can be proud of this year too. I mean, our organization is stepping into a year that we've never seen before. It's completely unprecedented in almost 100 years of our entire organization, just us this year. So I think that's really incredible and something that our members and our organization can be proud of.
I think
You muted yourself there, Paxton.
There's a truck behind.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I apologize. I'm feeling the struggle. I think for me, the one thing is just to never give up. I think sometimes we get our eyes set on a goal and we do everything we can to work towards that goal. And I'm guilty as charged there. And then, along the way, you almost check boxes off of things that you need to do before you accomplish that goal. And then I know, at least for myself, if I don't accomplish one of those things and get one of those boxes checked off, I start closing those doors for myself mentally. And I think that that's one thing that I need to work on just as much as anyone. But for me, that one thing is don't close the doors for yourself. Don't give up. Just keep going, regardless of how many failures you experience along the way.
For me, it's this concept of embracing complexity. And I think that looks different in different situations. But from a personal level, I want students to embrace everything that they are. And so for me, that was coming to an understanding that it was okay that I was the girl in high school who really liked reading, but was also in a rock band. And so it's embracing those different pieces. Each of us have those things that, we try to put ourselves into a box depending on what situation we're in. But but ultimately, like, we can bring our best and we can love people the best when we bring all of who we are to every situation. But then it's also understanding when we're interacting with other people, understanding that we're complex, and the world that we live in is complex too. And so I live by, one of my mottos is that, every person I talk to has something to teach me. And so understanding when we're talking about how to solve problems or issues that are going on in our society right now, we need to understand that everyone's coming from a different place and there's not necessarily one right answer. And it's important to embrace the nuance in the conversations that we're having.
The one question so hard. Can I say two really quick? I'll keep it short. Okay, the first one is just like, don't be afraid to show up to a room like being your 100% authentic self, whether that's speaking a different language or looking different. Just be you and own that, because that makes your story cool. And also the second thing is learn how to be someone's champion. And by that I don't mean what success looks like, but be in someone's corner. Learn how to lead for others, be in the backbone and support that individual grow, and you'll find so much joy when you get to see those other people succeed. So just those two main concepts, I think, is really what I hope students are able to walk away with this upcoming year.
Tangential to what David and Miriam said, I think it's so important for students to recognize the power that they have when they just show up. I think that in my life, I have been able to do great things because I am the person who likes to read, but can rap every single word of Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die album. And all of those elements of who I am allows me to become impactful, and it allows me to empower others. And that just takes showing up, getting out of bed, putting on a polo, and just like getting into those spaces. So I hope that I encourage students to just show up and to show up authentically.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. We're super excited to see what you do throughout the rest of the year. But we do have one more question that kind of goes off of something Miriam was talking to.
So this year, Indiana FFA's theme is embrace. So this year, we want to know what you guys are embracing as national officers.
That's a good question. I'm certainly embracing challenges. I always look at, or the outlook that I've tried to really grow through the past 6 or 7 months is just looking at different circumstances as a different way to separate myself from mediocrity, and looking at those different challenges and just as a new way for me to separate myself from that, that average mindset that I'm just okay. Right. And so I know that not a single National FFA member across this country is just okay. We are all getting ready to be the next generation of leaders who are going to change this agriculture industry. And the 760,113 students in this country, every single one of them have a different story to tell, and they're all going to change this world in a different way. And so I'm ready for these FFA members to grow up and embrace these challenges and make this world a better place whenever they all graduate from high school, because I can't wait to see what those FFA members do and what they accomplish after they graduate.
So for me this year, I want to continue embracing something that I've tried to in the past. And I carry it on a little band and I never, ever take it off. And it says hope and strength. I wear this for my mom who is battling breast cancer. And she has taught me that in every situation, we need to have both hope and strength. And so I think that is really applicable to this year, right? I mean, we need a lot of strength to get where we're going, and to do that with grace and with authenticity, like my teammates have been saying. But at the same time, while we're having that strength, we need to have hope. We need to have hope that we are going to see the end of COVID and we are going to get back into that stadium for National FFA convention, and we are going to party together and have a great time together and learn together and grow together. And so no matter what we're going through this year, I hope that everyone has that strength, but has that hope to keep going as well.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I wish I could say that I was embracing my teammates, but with everything that this year has thrown at us, that's just not possible. But one thing that I have tried to embrace this year is positivity. We can't control the situation. We didn't ask for a pandemic. We didn't ask for anything that's happened in 2020. And trust me, a lot of things have happened, but we can control our outlook on that. And we can choose to either, be positive about the situation and look for the silver linings, or we can be negative. And I think that really brings down the mood of the entire room and situation. So I'm trying to embrace positivity.
Yeah, so embracing complexity would be my normal answer to this question. But there's been some other things I've been thinking about a lot recently too. And one of those things is just embracing abundance. And when I say that, I don't mean just the times when we feel abundantly blessed, but I think just embracing everything that comes my way. I want to feel everything very deeply. And so if I am going through a difficult point, I don't want to pretend that I'm not. I want to embrace everything because I believe like every emotion that we have happens for a reason. And so being able to embrace that in the moment, but then to look at, okay, now where do I go from here? So I want to truly just embrace every moment, every feeling that I have, because we only get the moment that we're in right now.
I think for me, the biggest thing is embracing my culture. I look back at my time in high school and I was in your traditional production agriculture kid. I was someone who grew up in a divorced household with no agriculture background whatsoever. So and I also spoke Spanish. So things just did not check off for me what I thought FFA members should look like. So I started to dismantle myself of things that made me me. And, now that I'm 19 years old, I've realized what a detriment that was. And, we need people who are willing to show up and lead others by just being proud of who they are and where they come from. I think if I'm able to embrace, being from a Hispanic household, students across the nation will feel that sense of empowerment to, speak Spanish at an FFA event, help others understand what this idea of inclusion, equity, and diversity looks like. And I don't know, I think that's really just a goal of mine to, just embrace my culture and be proud of who I am and David's story.
This year, I'm embracing that it's not a normal time. We would be remiss if we sat here and pretended like a pandemic isn't going on or that racial tensions aren't happening in this country. We have to be cognizant of the climate of the world that we live in and then make a decision to rise to the occasion. Are we going to keep having conversations or are we going to wield substantive change? This year I'm choosing the latter. That's why I am a national officer. That's why I study the things that I study in college, because it's not okay to be complacent this year or ever. So I'm embracing that this is challenging times, and I'm embracing that this is a moment for us to rise to the occasion.
Awesome. It's so nice to hear what you guys are embracing. I know for me this year, I'm embracing all the imperfections, not only the imperfections of myself, but the imperfections of this year to kind of go along with what you guys are saying.
I personally, I'm choosing to embrace fully and love big. And so that means I'm going all in with everything that I do and everything that this year has to offer. You've got to just go for it, and you've got to take the opportunities that are presented, and you just have to love big. You got to love unconditionally, regardless of what's going on and regardless of who that person is. It's always important to love because everybody needs a little bit more love in their life.
Well, guys, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to hop on this Zoom call with us. That way, not only Indiana FFA members, but hopefully anyone that watches the Quarter A Connect can understand and meet you all a little more. So thank you for taking time out of your day to meet with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. I'm sure our members are definitely going to enjoy getting to watch this interview and seeing what all we talked about tonight.